Where's the American Gods?
There was Gorilla House, then there was the Rumble House. Now there's the Isle of Roux, where no one can tell us what to do. Ta-da!
Did you go live to
Instagram?
And is it just our elbows or something on Instagram?
It might be like this midsection. So I wore an interesting top for them.
Right. I wonder if people on Instagram would know that we're not stupid. We're just multi-platforming.
It's interesting because I try to change the orientation, but it says
Right.
recommended, and then look, it is just right. Maybe that's why people tune into Instagram.
Okay, let's not worry about it. If you're on Instagram, you can find us on YouTube.
Hey, YouTube. Kelly. Yeah, if you're on Instagram.
Hi, I'll be right back. I just have to go upstairs for a bit.
After these messages, we'll be right back. Jessica.
Oh, Rich.
Tell me a little bit about schooling, since we're both teachers.
Oh, wow. What a beautiful opportunity it is to talk about beautiful things. So we're teaching art.
I did a bad thing.
What did you do?
I interrupted the land acknowledgement.
Oh, I have been kind of doing our land acknowledgement in our own way each time for the past.
Let's do that then. Okay, ready? Well, I'll go first.
Okay, I like that.
I am so grateful to be here in Alberta, Canada, my Canadian home country, where the two rivers meet. Something that's always meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot more when the two rivers swallowed the city like a snake. Yeah, and that's not sarcasm. I started to love Calgary way more when I saw that river rise up and consume everything. And I'm grateful for the land. I'm grateful for the people that belonged to this land before we came, and I'm grateful that they've made room for us to stay here. I'm grateful that they're going to be the key pin that holds our country together.
Very grateful for that. Yeah, that's really beautiful.
I feel like there's a lot of gratitude these days to the good people that came here before.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to what we're going to do.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about curriculum of teaching because it's September. And Jess and Rich are both teachers. So open up their art curriculum there, beautiful woman.
I was looking at it. They have already. I don't know.
Can you double check on the Instagram again and see what they're saying now if we use this screen? That's back in time.
Oh yeah, it's a little light.
Oh, there we go. So.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, so they can see something. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're on Instagram, just know we do a better job.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Okay.
The visuals are a bit more tight on the.
After these messages, we'll be right back. Let's blast into it tonight, baby.
So art is.
We're gonna start with art.
Divided by.
Wait though. Let's just start with art.
Art.
What is it?
Mm.
You're an art teacher. You should know. What is art?
Well, I think it's about recording.
Those are teacher words. Tell me what art is to you.
Like prayers to the universe, like gratitude.
Prayers are like actually praying and making are very similar. And sometimes I say that religious people get upset, and sometimes I say that and artists get upset. But really, art and praying are manifesting.
It's like ritualistic. It's meditative. It's manifesting. It's emotional. It's not emotional sometimes when you don't need it to be emotional. It's
so it's interesting to me,
cerebral.
Yeah, when we think about art, how when I think about what writing would have been like to people who didn't have writing, you could take an idea out of your head.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the early humans, all we did was is your mic working? Yeah. The early humans, all we did was live in the moment. There was no past, present. We wouldn't have had names for your mother, father, but they would have smelled in a way that was similar to your brother or your sister.
Mm-hmm.
Strangers would smell different, right? So there would be smells, and we lived exactly in the moment, right?
Yeah.
I think dogs have like about a 15-minute memory and a 15-minute predictive bubble.
Mhm.
Octopuses might be, closer to an hour, but we're able to track and record things because solely because we can use language to start with.
Yeah.
But then when we can record language or record an image, take an idea that's inside my head, put it in the middle for you to pick up,
Yeah.
and then leave, and
Yeah.
then be dead. And art is
like time travel.
it's like a space blot.
Yeah.
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 It's how we put our insides on our outsides. Write that down. How we put our insides on our outsides.
Oh, and I love what you just made me think of, the idea of putting something down
Mhm.
and then you disappear. And so there can be so much ego wrapped up in art, but then that idea of all of a sudden you're not there anymore and it's still there.
Can we go back to when I corrected you? Because you said recording and I was like, oh, those are teacher words, but that's exactly what we're saying. Right? And no, but we said it in our own words. So I'm acknowledging that I corrected you and went down the same path.
Right.
But I'm also reflecting on the fact the reason I decided to make that change for us as a team was I didn't want to get lapped into like teacher words.
Right.
It's not the direction I wanted to go.
That's fair.
Okay. What's next? What is art? Okay, so art, and you teach 7.
Yeah. I teach
8,
6, 7, 8, 9 this year.
9 with a 6.
Yeah.
And I teach 9, 10, 11, 12. And that's a 6-year gap. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then we're going to start with what curriculum do you want to start with tonight?
Oh, we can do 9 because we both
do 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice meeting point, isn't it?
That is really nice.
Okay. Give me the art 9.
Are we doing like umbrella and then down to the minutia, or
I want
are we
the
doing
first
1,
word.
2, 3?
What?
Record drawings.
Record.
Drawings.
What does that
is
mean
the
to you,
first
though? What does
word.
record mean to you? Because I had a kid who had a stroke and couldn't use her dominant hand and could barely use her left hand for a while.
Yeah.
So what does record mean to you?
Well, to quote another great thinker called Rich Theroux, like making your mark. So it can be a blot,
Right.
if that's all you can do.
A
It
daub.
can be a daub.
A daub.
It could be
Tell the people why daub.
like the dauber. It was a bingo dauber.
I gave her a bingo
Yeah.
dauber. I actually broke protocol and went to the family's house. Me and Galen we're like
There's a bunch of bingo daubers.
well, because they're like, is there anything you can do to help this family out? And then it's like, can we go see them? I'm like, well, not in their time. And then so Galen and I just went to the house on the way home, rang the bell, had a little visit. The family was thrilled that we went, so that worked out well. And I brought a bag of bingo daubers so that she could make art at home, and she used her left hand because she could grip the bingo daubers.
Yeah.
And was able to. Why do you have this half screen?
Because I couldn't see the time when I was looking for the 7 o'clock.
Gotcha.
But this is good now.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Nice font.
Okay, so making your mark. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What?
So I know this isn't in order, but your font recalls certain eras and time and cultures, and so
Time travel.
that's part of encounters is transformations through time. So the fonts that
Is it EL or LE?
yeah.
Yeah, so this is a funny thing because you and I started developing film. I have a CTF 10 this year that can be whatever I want, and therefore I might go down the path of doing some photography with those kids.
Nice.
Should that be what they're interested in? I look at art as time traveling because I will make a mark and that mark will endure. So we'll talk about some marks we've made that endured, okay? None are coming to your mind right now, or do you want a minute? Or
What do you mean? Like the troll is a mark that has endured?
okay, what
Like publicly, or
what's your most permanent mark you've made?
maybe the book that I published?
A book that you publish is a mark that endures for sure. I drew this picture at ACAD on a piece of paper and old school wheat pasted it onto the it was in my sketchbook.
Mhm.
And the friend of mine that was on school council had access to the ACA, AU Arts, ACAD photocopier.
Mhm.
And so, left alone with the photocopier, I took one of my sketches from my sketchbook and photocopied it so I could wheat paste it into the toilet. You know, what do they call those things?
Urinal?
No, like that's when you stand.
Oh.
What's it called?
Stall?
Yeah, in the stall. I sketched this on a piece of paper and then essentially glued it to the
Yes.
to the wall in the stall. Now, the ACAD stalls were notoriously very quickly cleaned, and everything that what?
I have something to tell you after
What?
that.
Sure.
No, after.
No.
I don't want to. That line drawing that you just did really harkened back to watching Mr. Dress Up draw his line drawings.
Yeah.
And how it was so simple, and then all of a sudden it would be this very evocative, not as evocative as yours, but like really great drawing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
sure. I appreciate that.
I'm back now. Sorry.
That's okay.
I did Pluto with resin. Look,
Oh, cute.
he's got drool. He's drooling.
Yes, he is.
It's hard to see it.
No,
It's like really fine.
you can see it. It's great.
So that's UV resin.
Very cool. Rich was
So
talking.
happy.
Rich was talking about a piece of art that he put in the bathroom
Yeah.
at ACAD.
So they used to clean out the graffiti in the ACAD bathrooms daily. Like nothing lasted. That was like the one place you put something up. But I remembered that one piece. Everybody, all the custodians and stuff, painted around.
No.
Now I'm talking like maybe when you were born. I went to ACAD in 1989.
Mhm.
You were born in 87.
Mhm.
And I did that in 1989, and it
So good.
lasted until it was still there in 97. So it was like up for like a decade anyways.
Look, the
Yeah.
very last outcome says society has various ways of preserving and displaying public and private artworks.
Yeah, it was some private public artwork. But okay, and then some other pieces that lasted for a long time. My fourth year grad piece was 100 drawings taped to a wall, and for the next 10 years, Don Kopman made all the students do 100 drawings, which would be fine if he hadn't mocked me when I presented the idea. What's the next thing on the thing? Mark making and what, sorry?
Sorry. So drawings is a big umbrella thing. Outcome one, record. So record objects alone and in compositions.
Does our curriculum distinguish between drawing and painting?
No, it says it says to use wet and dry media.
Okay, so it's using drawing as a catch-all for mark making.
Mark making, really, I think, because it's like through careful observation of form, surface quality. There's are necessary for realistic recording of natural objects, but then concepts of positive negative space are employed when drawing people in groups.
So what I think there is, okay, Mark was telling us, were you there?
Yes, yeah.
This travesty that at AU Arts, they don't let you paint in the drawing department,
Yeah.
which is like,
which is a really arbitrary separation.
So, and maybe like by the time he's presenting that idea,
Yeah.
he means they don't want you using your painting materials on the 4th floor.
Maybe.
Like to them, that might be, we have the 3rd floor or whatever floors things are on for painting materials, and the 4th floor is for dry media only. That limitation on its own is terrifying, but it's not as terrifying as an art school forbidding painting in the drawing department. That sounds like some Nazi book burning bullshit to me, but I'm just going to assume we overreacted when he said it. But it's shocking to me that somebody would even say something like that, even if it was a miscommunication.
Yeah.
The miscommunication on its own would imply some level of distrust that should never exist.
Right. The fact that it's coming up at all.
Right. Okay. So our 1980s curriculum
shout out
isn't
to the people who wrote the curriculum
isn't
84.
distinguishing between drawing and painting.
No,
it's
it's
using
not.
drawing as a verb
Yes.
for moving with a art object.
Yes.
Right. That's fine. Okay.
It is fine.
So tell me what it said about that, please.
I'm trying to find the place where it actually talks about the material. Because by grade 9, they actually just start talking more about concept.
I think we just want to go through it like chronologically from the beginning,
Okay.
please.
Okay.
Yeah, don't find anything. We could go nuts.
So careful observation of form and surface quality is necessary for realistic recording of natural objects.
What do you think that means?
So if you are drawing from life, careful observation, it's like the idea of really pulling in, pulling in the light, pulling in the details from the world around you if you want to record in a realistic fashion. So slowing down.
Okay. I get that that's your overall take from what they said, but I want you to break down what those words mean to you.
Careful observation and form of surface qualities is, to me, attention.
Which
focus.
surface is it talking about? The drawing surface or the surface of the
what you're
observation?
drawing? That's how I interpreted it.
I thought so too.
Is looking at I like putting autumn things out when people come in.
So
good texture.
when it says surface that early, I wonder if they were pulling from another drawing book and maybe not necessarily understanding what they're saying. I'll tell you why. Read it again one more time.
Careful observation of form and surface qualities is necessary for the realistic recording of natural objects.
Okay, wait though.
Natural objects.
I do agree with what they're saying.
Yeah.
I just think that it's easy to misunderstand that sentence because I'm pretty well educated and I'm struggling with it. What they're saying is it's unnecessarily hard. That when you look at something, right, you need to look at the object that you're referencing from. You need to look at its shape, its overall presence, but also its outer texture surface.
Yeah.
So if I were to be more specific, if I'm drawing you, I need to look at both the shape of you, but also the softness of your skin, right? Yeah. And if I'm drawing a turtle, I need to know that bulbous turtle shape, but I also need the leathery texture. Let me tell you why I think they're borrowing from another book when they wrote that. You ready?
Yeah.
It's a weird place to start. Right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
It is a very specific.
Yeah.
You're talking about turtles, right? And it's like saying, okay, you need to get the outlines and the inlines just right. And, eggs and oceans, right? You think I'm right about that?
It's cute. Kelly has a crow puppet, which is
Caw-caw.
lovely.
Kelly, have you been into Michael's lately?
Yep, I have.
Did you see the Halloween section?
Yep, I did. I got something already.
What did you get?
Not this guy, though. I've had this guy for about 2 years.
That's
no. I saw that crow and it reminded me of Michael's, and then I thought it would be funny to watch you go in there. I went in there and
I'd bring them in there. And have them on. I would have them on my hand and just walk in there with them.
Yeah. I texted Oliver to say that he should not go to Michael's for the next one because he really likes the Gothic presence and that the Halloween section is overwhelming.
I bought a Michael spooky haunted house thing.
Oh yeah,
It's got a fountain in it and everything.
Oh, that's really nice. They're beautiful.
yeah.
the
We
little
bought a bunch of
miniatures.
things. I bought the Houdini case and stuff like that.
There's a lot of stuff. Did you see the wedding ones?
Yeah,
There's like and there's a skeleton sitting on the toilet.
yeah, all the skeletons. Yeah.
Okay, shape, form, surface. Are there others?
If I had the room, if I had more room, I would get that, but I just don't have more room.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
trying to
that's
get
where-
rid of bears. I'm making bears so I can have more room.
yeah. That's where we're at too. Is the space. Okay, next is positive and negative space can be employed when drawing people in groups. Another very specific, but
Yeah.
positive. And
No,
negative
but listen.
space.
Here's the thing:
Mhm.
positive, negative space, form, shape, and surface. Those are 5 important things.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh,
But
the
it's
next one.
broken into 2 separate ideas.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Right. And also, form is where you should have talked about the negative and positive space because you gain
interesting.
form through positive and negative space.
Mhm.
Let's talk about that for a second, okay?
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
When I was in high school, we would have a lesson that went like this. You got a black piece of paper and a white piece of paper. And on the one paper, you would have a black object with a white background. And on the other piece of paper, you'd have a white object with a black background. And I saw this. I don't remember doing this in high school, but I remember seeing it in the hallway of all the high school classes, right? And then the next kid over basically would have like an airplane. See how my airplane looks? Is that an airplane?
That's good.
And then next to it, he would have another airplane. Now, whereas I am not likely to believe that the writers of this curriculum knew exactly why they were asking for what they were asking for. And I think this happens a lot, right? Like your teacher told you this, so you tell your students, right?
Mhm.
This stupid assignment reoccurred everywhere. Every single school had this assignment. And every kid, except from the defiant ones, did this assignment. There's no way I would have done this assignment. I would have found a way to do something different. I don't remember what I did, but I remember being really irritated by it. This and collage. Okay. Now, the sheet they would always show you,
Cool.
anybody can do that, would always have this vase. One of your instructors made pottery this way. He actually made pots that were shaped like this.
and bodies.
Yeah. And then when does he still have them in the airport? And
Yeah.
he'd make a vase like this, and it would be next to another vase like this. And then you'd have these that's a funny doofy face. I don't want to be Canadian. Okay. Positive and negative space doesn't mean something. It's an opinion. Okay. So when I draw this, it might be my opinion that I've got 2 faces looking at each other. That might be my opinion. Or it might be my opinion that I've got a vase or a vase, depending on how fancy you are. But the point of the positive and negative space is kind of like the object and the subject in English class, which I thought was bullshit. You're going to mark me right or wrong, which is the object and which is the subject of the sentence. Because let's say if the car was, give me an example of object and subject in a sentence. Do you know one off the top of your head?
Subject and predicate. I don't.
Yeah, let me just try
Subject is the noun and the predicate is the verb. That's the sentence structure. I don't know if that's like. Because object and subject denotes like objectification and subjectification, like the idea of like how you value that thing.
That's what I'm talking about.
So I think you're right in the confusion.
Well, I would get really angry that the English teacher would have an opinion. Okay, so the dog chased the ball, right?
Yeah.
The subject is the dog.
Yeah.
The verb is chased, and the object is the ball. Okay?
Yeah.
Unless you are the ball.
Right. And I gave my kids a bunch of good, we did a bunch of good writing from like surprising perspectives last year, and they really had a fun time. See, okay, I don't teach subject object. It's more about like who. Okay, but maybe they could argue in that sentence it's following the dog because of the importance of the placement in the sentence. But if you were to say like the teeth were on me and the slobber was all over, and that would be from the perspective of the
Do you get
mom.
what I'm saying?
I do. 100%.
So it would happen often enough that my vantage point for what the object and the subject was separate from what the teacher while the teacher was teaching him. But nah. Okay.
Nah.
So in this case, if you're seeing two faces, that's the positive space. Okay. And the negative space is the vase. You got it?
Yeah.
Positive and negative. If you happen to see two faces looking at each other, then the positive space is the two people. If you happen to see the vase, then the positive space is the vase, and then this is the negative space. That is the viewer's distinction, right? I make this, I die, I'm gone. Somebody comes, oh, a nice vase. Another person comes, they're in love. Like it's just, this is opinion, O-P-I, how do you spell that?
I-N.
I-N.
O-I-N.
Really? Opinion? Okay. Doesn't matter. That's 100. Don't worry about it. That's 100% somebody's opinion.
Yeah.
And it's crap. Okay. Now the important part of this is I'm going to use some colors here. Just happen to have just the right colors. If I have 3 levels of colors here, right? I've got light, medium, and intense. Let's say I was to draw Jesse standing like a teapot. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle. Here is my spout. When I see it. Okay. If I draw her, I'm using the positive space because I'm looking at her. Okay. But if I were to take a more intense color and change my positive space to negative or use the negative space, I can look at this space here and recognize I didn't quite have her head in the right spot, right? And I can change that. And actually looking at it, this arm should have been more straight and this hand was dangling down. I can make some corrections, right? And then this is a really fantastic, the space between the legs, right? I'm like, oh, actually, because of her pants, it looks like there's less space in the legs than I'd given credit for, right? And then, so when you're using the negative space, you're going to see that this hip goes out farther than this armpit, and you're correcting and getting a more accurate drawing. And if I want to get rid of my original lighter lines, I can just sketch around and they become obscured, right? But now I can go back to my original color. I took the positive space, I drew into the negative space, and now I can split the two and get the best rendering of the two drawings. And so nobody ever taught me this. This was me trying to find a reason for who the hell cares? Why would I ever care about positive and negative space? Well, it turns out you can use the negative space to increase the quality of your drawing by infinity. I'm infinitely better when I can see this shape that goes here around the arm, right? When I can see this shape happening between the legs, or there's this Alberta shape that happens under the elbow, right? If there's an arm here, there's this Alberta shape in the elbow. It's the same with chairs, right? If I were to draw a negative space chair, I might see a shape like that, and then a triangle, and then another shape like that, and then like another triangle, and then a shape like this, and a triangle. And when I draw this chair like this, looks like I need help looking at things because none of these lines line up. But if you look at a chair and you start to draw it, right? Here's your chair. You draw it as you see it, right? And it's got like attachments. Okay, you draw your chair, but then you put down your original marker, and then you look really hard at the negative space. Whoa, that's weird. Can you jam that in? And you go, actually, this is more like that, and this has a bump here, and that's curved, and then this hooks down, little nubbin, and then here's where you're going to see, like, oh, that was actually kind of in the wrong place. And you're drawing the negative space around this chair. You can use your negative space to check your positive space lines, right? And that's actually why positive and negative space matter. But to go back in time to the curriculum, it's talking about positive and negative space separately from form. Form was grouped with texture, which is like really superficial. What matters is your positive and negative space inform the shape of form, right?
The shape.
So when I say form, in science, I call that matter, right?
Yeah.
In art, form might be a blob of clay. That's my form.
Yeah.
Okay. And then maybe I might form as a verb my form into a little dude. Okay. And that's my form, right? This is the shape of my blob.
Just noticed how many of our art words are verbs and nouns.
Yeah. This is my
Bob,
form.
blob.
Just completely outsmarted me. 7:31 Wednesday the 26th 2000. Bob, right, is a form. You form Bob out of this. This had a form. It had a shape. When you take for granted what form means, because it's so entrenched in everything I think and do, that I assume the kids know what form means, and they don't. I can't assume the teachers I work with know. I can't assume the parents. I can't assume the viewers in the art gallery. I can take any third-year art student, and they will know what form is, or they're faking a lot of shit at school. And in 5 years, they get out of art school, and thus they have to teach it. They've kind of drifted from knowing what form means, right?
Yeah.
Most people.
Yeah.
Form is a very, very complex, heavy, complicated word that gets so incredibly taken for granted and misused. Form is the substance plus the shape of a thing, right? It's also the verb you use to turn one shape into another shape. Form is like the right answer for a shape, right? And so if I form a cone, if I form a cube, if I formally assess this, I am going into, with a structure, assessing the form based on a structure. Inside my clay statue, I built a clay form off of a wire. The wire was to give form to that clay statue so that it doesn't tip over. My trees, trunks, right, and the roots hold that tree up. The form of that tree, I can formally tell you, it's the right structure, it's the right shape, right? Form. And I remember this became relevant to me because Elijah was way more entrenched in art academia than me, and he was my student, but he got out of ACAD, and he was one of the reasons why I opened up the Gorilla House. He got out of ACAD. His exact quote was, "If I don't get a show, I'm going to kill somebody." And because of some historical stuff in his past, I took him very seriously and thought, well, let's open up a gallery. But I remember I asked him a question about something, and very, very meticulously, he said, do you want a formal account for this? Are you talking about form? And I had to stop and pause because in that moment, I'd forgotten what he meant when he said form. When he said, when you want to talk, because we're talking about a painting. And I said, what do you think of this? And he said, conceptually, I love it. When I look at the form, I don't love it. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, this eyeball's a little bit out of place. And I'm like, yeah, but I was just being loose. And he's like, yeah, well, it's not where the eyeball's supposed to be. So
Yeah, well.
form is a rule in art. It's not the only rule, and it's not the absolute law. It's just a starting point. What else we got there?
Scott was just saying you form landscapes and clothing. You form friendships. It's pretty beautiful.
Yeah, right?
Beautiful. The next
Right.
thing,
Okay, but just hold those couple thoughts, okay?
yeah.
Because you can form a friendship. You can fake a friendship, right? You can... what would be the opposite of forming a friendship? You can find yourself in a friendship.
Oh, the idea of like building up and breaking down.
Right, but if I go to the park and I push Bob and Bob likes the way I push and we become friends, he and I are forming a friendship.
Yeah.
There are situations where you start a new school and one group of kids just grabs you and takes you away. You might not be forming a friendship. You might be like surviving. You know what I mean? So what would be the opposite of forming a friendship or an alternative to forming a friendship? Because I like where this is headed. You accept.
Oh, right. It's passive and active.
You can accept a friendship.
Interesting.
Can you accept art making?
Oh.
Not in junior high, maybe in art school. A form can be a flux. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
influx. Yeah. Well, what isn't in flux, right? Like that's where the nihilism in me comes out.
I like the next one. It furthers our conversation.
Sure. What is it?
The illusion of depth is created partly by the kinds of lines and marks used to create image.
Okay. Now,
it goes back to your
depth is.
Your
these are expensive papers. Are we okay with that?
Go back here. Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
Like it's all interesting.
Depth. I will ask the kids, is this a big house or a little house? And many of them will say it's a little house. Okay. And then I'll take my little house and I'll put a tree next to it. And I'll say, is this a big house or a little house? And they might say, it's a little house. And then I might put a bush next to it and some kind of path next to it. Is it a big house or a little house? And they'll say, it's a little house. Now, I'm going to finish this drawing with a couple marks, and you're going to tell me if it's a big house or a little house. It's not too late to change your mind, Jessica. You ready?
Yeah.
Here's my finished work. Is the big house or a little house?
It's a big house.
That would make this a really big tree, hey?
Yeah.
So if I have a house like this, and the door is this big,
it's a little house.
It's a little house. If I have a house like this, right? It's a big house.
Yeah.
And this could be a giant tree, and this could be a tiny tree, right?
Yeah.
So what makes this a big house is the human-sized door. And so I'll often tell the kids, you know what, here's the deal. If you think that aliens are coming to Earth and taking people away, this is more like maybe I haven't heard this in a while, but at least in the 90s, they would talk about like people getting abducted and cows eating, getting like turned inside out and stuff. If you think that aliens would come all the way to Earth and take humans away in secret, do measurements and recordings, and then put them back on the Earth, I'm going to tell you you're wrong, and this is how I know you're wrong about that specific thing. An alien group of people or alien species coming to Earth would be smart enough that they would grab a BMW and they would measure the difference between the ass print and the foot pedal, and they'd be like, this is how big a human, and they would slide the seat forward and slide it back and like, this is their best car, and this is as big as they get, and this is as small as they get, and you would get every detail out of a BMW because everything in our world is designed around the human body. Horses are whatever number hands high.
Yeah.
You're in my
And
school.
feet and
I see people all the time in my school measuring things out and guessing, and I watched Kevin count with his footsteps how many feet from the wall he thought he was. I'm like, Kevin, please listen. The tiles on the floor are exactly 12 inches. So if you can count 5 tiles, that's 5 feet. Okay. But that was the king's foot. And my thumb right here, the king's thumb was an inch, and that wasn't consistent. So all the things in the world are measured by humans. When you put the human context in, that's one of the clues you use for space. Another clue for space is proximity, right? If I have a ball and another ball behind it, when I show overlap, right, I show proximity and shading. A light source can show distance, and depth can be shown by color, that if the ball in the back is darker. And I have a lesson that is 37 different ways to show depth using perspective lines.
yeah, a lot of these are on YouTube, right?
Yeah, vanishing points. Oh yeah, I could use those instead of teaching.
Yeah, we could.
But basically,
I do use some of them in my teaching.
there are days when I teach 15 and the kids are wiped out. There are days when I teach 37.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Sorry. It's up on Kobo already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play a sample. What does that mean? Silent reader. Oh, that.
Silent Reader just got released on Kobo.
Thunk, thunk, thunk. Thunk, thunk, thunk. My dad had a strange sense of humor about me asking for stuff. Last year I got first cuts from the basketball team, and I was thinking of asking my dad for a basketball net, but he was in the dart room practicing darts. Thunk, thunk, thunk. I didn't want to bother him while he was thinking. Thunk, thunk, thunk. If I had a net, I'd play basketball with Sully all day and all night. I could hang from the rim and dangle until I got 2 feet taller. Thunk, thunk, thunk. I knocked on the door. My dad opened up and said, "I'm a little busy." And the door closed with a thunk. And thunk, 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 3 more darts hit the board on the other side of the room. I knew the hoop wasn't going to put itself up, and it probably wasn't going to arrive on its own either. I took my dog for a walk. I felt the door frame rattle a little when I closed the door. Probably going to get in trouble for that later. Big thunk. Down the block and 1 street over was a fire hydrant on this old guy Russ's yard. I learned Russ was his name one time when I let my dog take a leak on his yard. He came out and shouted not to pee on his lawn, and I told him to stuff it, and he grabbed my ear. His name is Russ, and I think he's kind of lonely. He's not all bad. If I did have a basketball net, I'd need a backboard too, and I didn't have that either, but I could put it up over the garage. We hadn't lived here long enough that my dad wouldn't even be sure if the net was there when we moved in. Russ had a backboard, no net, but he had a decent backboard. Who the hell was that for? I got so mad thinking about that damn waste of a backboard. Thunk, thunk, thunk. There's an early slushy snow this year, and I'm hammering the front door of Russ's house with wet snowballs. What the? I can't say the word. What are you doing, Russ yells. I got nothing, so I yell back, "Clean up your yard, you bum!" Russ comes lunging out, but there's no way he's going to catch me in his stocking feet. He slips and falls on his crusty butt just as he's about to grab me again. But I get away, laughing. My dog barks too, and we slide down the driveway of another house. This house has a perfect basketball hoop, and even a pretty good net. And I start hammering the door with snowballs. This lady comes out and yells, "What are you doing?" And I yell back, "Clean up your yard!" She doesn't chase me, but at least she doesn't fall. So I carry on like this until I find a house with a bunch of old basketballs left out in the backyard and tell them to clean up their yard too. The sky should be black at this time, but sometimes it's not. Just like when it's about to
They give the
snow,
whole
it
book
gets
away.
warm, the sky is kind of yellow, and I wonder if the clouds are all joined up until the horizon and on the other side of the earth where the sun hasn't gone down yet. And the sky should be dark, but it's not. It's yellow, connected by these electric yellow clouds, just busting the snow. I take my dog home, and my mom is in the kitchen, giving me lip about slamming the front door. Thunk! I slam it shut. I go to my room. Thunk! I slam the door again. I just sit there because I finished my book and there's nothing left to read in the whole house. I'd make a cup of tea just to read the tea leaves. The next day, Russ caught me by the ear and yelled at me, but he also paid me $20 to clean up his yard. I took down his backboard and offered to carry all the junk away so he wouldn't be bothered by the garbage man with too many trash cans on collection day. I cleaned up 2 more yards that week, and when I had a complete collection of basketball hoop, backboard, and basketballs, I climbed on the roof of our garage and installed my net over the door. To be honest, I don't think I'll ever play basketball again. I'll let you know now rather than later. My dog is a puppet named Mr. Smith, which begs the question, who took an actual leak on Russ's front lawn?
Were you able to hear that, Kelly? Anybody?
Some of it, not all of it.
Yeah, that's okay. You can hear the whole chapter for free on Kobo. Is
No,
that
it's
Kobo?
not free. It's $20.
No, the first
Oh,
chapter.
the first
free.
chapter.
Yeah.
Free, yeah. Oh, and you can get a free trial.
A free trial. Whoa.
Wow.
Can you send that to Felix?
Yeah.
That's overwhelming.
Mm.
I'm getting a painting from Viviana this time.
Nice.
First time for a while. We're doing a little bit of a trade. I'm giving her some resin and she's going to give me, she painted a bear, which I really like. It's all multicolored.
That's really nice. Oh, Scott said I loved it. And he could maybe hear it.
You could hear it?
That's nice.
Very nice. That was a lot of work. That saved us a lot of money this summer, though. Jess and Rich didn't have any money this summer. And then we were in Winnipeg, and Lori texted me and said, hey, I needed that book by now. And I said, I thought it was due in September. She's like, I need it now. And then I was like, we're in Winnipeg. So we were a couple of days from getting home. And little did we know, we're also in right before we broke our car. So I think it would have cost us $10,000 if we'd broken our car down and we stayed in Saskatchewan, because what are we at, like Willow Creek or something?
Swift Creek?
No.
Yeah.
No.
It was Gull Lake.
Gull Lake is what I was looking for, yeah.
Oh.
We're at Gull Lake, and if we found a place, because we needed to get the car towed out of the campsite or pay for that.
Or pay for it.
And it was 3 days out of the campsite that we were like, we're trying to get home. And so we needed to get the car towed to a place that fixed Volkswagens, which was a matter of guessing because it was a long weekend and nobody was going to answer the phone for 3 days. And once we towed the car out of the campsite, we didn't get another tow. It's one tow per breakdown for, I don't know how they measure that, but one tow for breakdown for AMA. So had we waited 3 days at the campsite, we would have been stuck there and paying for a campsite we didn't want. Had we dropped the car off and tried to get home, then we would have had to wait 3 days to find out whether the place we dropped it off even fixed Volkswagens. And then you're dealing with a company that has no interest in treating you well because you don't live there, right? So not saying that they're automatically going to screw you, but there's no reason for them to not screw you unless they're just
decent people.
Right. And then, and they could have been, because I've been on the highway and had people do emergency work for me before. Yeah. But what we ended up doing was the car was hot and it got stuck. And when it cooled off, we just started driving. And it was we just need to fill up gas and not use the clutch between here and Calgary. So we just didn't stop for anything. We kept driving and got the car home. But as soon as we got home that night, I built a studio in the closet. And then for 2 weeks, I recorded it. And Lori got 3 books recorded in the time that I spent recording my one book. But my book is it's called The Silent Reader. It's about a kid that loves to read and hates school, But it wasn't even until the end of the book that you find out he also doesn't like to read out loud. So
It's a silent reader.
he does like to read silently. That wasn't meant to be a hinge point when I started the book, but by the time the ending found itself, it became a key point in the book. So it was interesting for me to record the audiobook because I struggled so to get words to come out cleanly. And so that actually saved us a ton of money because
we had the bus pass because of our car
we got a bus pass
and the book. When you needed a break, we would take the train out somewhere and walk back to get some fresh
train
air.
and bus.
Yeah.
We often take the train. We'll get a day pass and explore Calgary as tourists on the city transit. But I think we spend a lot more time on actual buses as well, because when you have a bus pass and you're not worried about
summer
burning out your tickets.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
You can get on a bus and get on another bus, and you can just stay on the bus until it finally takes you home if you want. So we had quite a fun exploring summer.
Should we continue with
You kind of threw me by showing me that book because you weren't expecting. How did you find that, by the way?
Lorraine just sent us the link at that moment, so that I had to show you, obviously.
Yeah, no, that's nice. I'm not complaining. I'm just like, I'm feeling a little emotional.
Oh, that's okay. We can focus on that.
Can I tell you something else?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course you can.
12-year-old Rich Roux, with a kid named Paul, who gets renamed as Sully in the book, had a pact. Paul's ambitions and my ambitions were very similar, but from slightly different points of view. So Paul and I became friends because we both independently wanted to be stuntmen when we grew up, right? And Paul was a little more fearless than me, I would say, or deluded. And I was a slightly better climber. So I could he struggled a little harder to get up into the spots that we shouldn't go up to. And I remember a couple things. Like, I remember the first time I really felt fear as a kid was Paul and I were climbing on the soccer goalposts, which just meant like your highest jump, you could reach the top of the pole. I think actually at this age, maybe grade 4, we were like climbing the poles like monkeys, but then you would kind of invert. No, I think I just hoisted myself up with my arms, where Paul would like invert and kind of like use his legs to pull him up, but it would look like he was going to drop on his head. And I remember just being terrified that if Paul fell, he'd crack his head open. Paul and I had a pact at about 15 that if we didn't become famous by the time we were 18, we'd become assassins and do like who shot John Lennon? Doesn't matter.
3 names.
You know what I mean, though,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
At 18, Paul actually was like connected to all the sort of rock stars and important people that I ever met in my life, because he was he should have been a talent agent. He just had a knack for finding people with huge futures.
Yeah.
And we lived separately. I lived in Canyon Meadows and he lived in Marlborough. And we would sort of like see each other every 4 months or so, I would say. As kids, that was a long time. So you do a lot of developing. And we would discover things about ourselves at the same time. So we both became writers around the same time. Maybe there was a spawn of time where Paul was a writer and I was a painter. And then independently of that, I also became a writer. But at 18, I had a pact to murder somebody if I didn't get published by the time I was 18. And obviously we didn't mean that, so don't record that. But at 23, I started collecting my poems, and I got into a writing program at Mount Royal, which was incredibly hard for me because it was really meant for people that already knew how to write. It was a polishing program. That's where I met Lori. At 23, I managed to I was working on a national children's magazine called Max Mag. And I had I think 2 poems and 2 short stories in line to be published in I want to say Blue Buffalo. Yeah, Blue Buffalo magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a verbal from the publisher, the poetry publisher of Dandelion, said I should publish something in Dandelion. And that was my instructor, Gordon Pengillies. And I always thought Gordon Pengillies knew what he was talking about until he told me I should publish in Dandelion. I had already looked into it and realized I wasn't qualified to publish in Dandelion because they were really for professional writers. So I actually kind of lost respect for Gordon Pengillies when he said you should publish in Dandelion. It wasn't until that same year I found out he was the editor of Dandelion. So when he said I should publish in Dandelion, the poetry editor of Dandelion was saying you should publish the story in Dandelion. And I was like, fool doesn't know anything about publishing. So I had it in my mind that with my own magazine and the 2 separate magazines publishing me that year, that my next step would be to start trying to get published in like different sort of more literary magazines. Or actually I had a friend who had a contact at Playboy magazine that did fiction back then. And also, what was another magazine I was hoping for? Saturday Night was doing cool short stories. I was building enough clout that I thought I could start looking to publish some short stories. And that same year, my other instructor had kind of sped me through in HarperCollins to get my this kids book I wrote called Bobby Likes to Read Upside Down.
Mm-hmm.
HarperCollins loved it. So they would have this thing where you send a book in for submission. You're not allowed to submit it anywhere else. If you got caught double submitting, you'd be blacklisted from all the publishing houses forever, because they didn't want to invest in a book and then find out somebody else was putting offers on it. So you had to like pick your publisher. You'd spend like a year finding out if they were going to publish you or not.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, they loved it. So the feedback I got was, oh, they loved it. It's going down the hall for approval. And then it went down the hall for approval. And like, oh, they loved it. And it's going down for the hallway for approval. And like, oh, they loved it. It's going down the hallway for approval. And then at the last stage, my book had originally rhymed. This is a long time ago, so forgive my ignorance. When Lori took a look at the book, she had pointed out that I was doing a book about these different readers who were all read in different ways, which actually is similar to Silent Reader, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't thinking about it, but she had pointed out that I had pulled like a Friends, where the characters in my book were homogeneously Caucasian.
Mm.
She's like, oh, you should be more diverse. And I was like, you're 100% right. So because I had the first 5 out of 8 characters as Caucasian people, that's when I started putting more diversity into my book. And I think I threw out one of the characters and redrew. And so I had like probably half the book was more diverse, but I couldn't have like the first 5 one group and then all the diversity next, because it would look like I thought of it only halfway through my book, which is true. But, back then you needed experiences like this to enlighten you. It wasn't just going to come to you. So when I redesigned my book, it lost the rhyme.
Mm.
And then the one criticism that the final stage of, like, they basically accepted it, but said, could it be rewritten to rhyme? And I just lost it. And the other thing is, the National Children's Magazine I worked for with Lori got canceled despite an incredibly strong 50% sell-through that we had. It got canceled because of a bill called, I think it was C-19, but it was a law that stopped protecting Canadian magazines, and Lori couldn't foresee competing with the American market the way things were unfolding. And so a Canadian protections law kind of screwed us over.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm trying to say is,
Kubo is Indigo's supplier. There'll be lots more vendors too.
Sweet. I stopped writing when all these magazines, they all collapsed in the same year right before my 10-year high school reunion. I ended up having to move into my parents' house and went from like almost a successful published author to like a guy with no job living in my parents' basement. I might have been moving into my garage that summer, my parents' garage. I used to really love audiobooks when I was a kid. They were called book tapes. Book tapes kind of fizzled when CDs came along because books did not translate well. You could still get book CDs, but they were awful to listen to because you would listen to a section of a book, and then when you felt tired, you'd hit stop, and it would stop, but the CD player didn't know how to put you back to where you finished, right?
Yeah.
So books on tape didn't flourish, and it was kind of a forgotten idea to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Until your iPhone was able to play MP3 files. And so I was a big fan of audible.com. 10 years after that, Lori gave me an opportunity to write a book. And the first book was a drawing book, so it didn't need to be on Audible. Second book was on was the River Troll, which I was thrilled to put as an Audible book. I recorded the whole thing, doubting my ability, expecting her to listen to it and say, you know what's going to happen is we need to have.
Aww.
Oh, nice. I said, you know what's going to need to happen is sweet. So I gave Carla a copy of my book, and she had already ordered a copy of a book. So basically, when I give books away, I just say, listen, here's the deal. Don't buy my book. I'll give you my book. If you like my book enough that you would have bought it, please buy a copy of my book and find a kid that needs to read it. So that's how I work. What's this? Oh yeah. So I hired an actor to read my first book, and Michael Roy came in and we set up the studio and he was recording, and I would say he got it 97% perfect on his first try, but he was pushing because I was there and pushing. He's like, I want to get this voice right. And so the moose is like, does it sound kind of like this? I'm like, no, it kind of sounds more like this. And then I realized through coaching Michael Roy to do the voices I wanted, I could do it. And I very, very, very slowly needed to record the whole book. I would hit almost every paragraph 5 times, right? Almost 5 times. And then I would chop all the pieces together and bam, and it worked, right?
It's crazy, yeah.
Owen, the character in Silent Reader, is a kid, whereas the main character in The River Troll is me. It's easier to record my voice than this kid's voice. Secret, not a lot of people know, is this is the prequel to the River Troll. So this actually was me, but he's not me now. So Owen, the kid in my book, is actually a manifestation of a younger Rich T. Roux. But to play that role was something that I found. I had to tap into something else to go in and read this kid's story because I've grown up and I'm not this kid anymore. But I remember enough about this kid. I don't know if you have a relationship with yourself as a child that, like, when I see pictures of myself as a child, I look at that child like the most pitiful kid in any of my classes. Like, I have this deep empathy for this stupid kid, and I don't look at it and see me at all. I see this stupid kid that I really want to help. Do you have that problem or no? You look at pictures of you and you're like, I was so pretty.
No,
Yeah.
I look at pictures of me and I see a very loved kid. Like,
I look at pictures of me and I'm like, that kid never had a chance. And like, I'm so proud of him for surviving. I'm not boasting like, oh, and then he turned out me, but like, no, but to be honestly, like, I have kind of a sick feeling in my stomach if I see, you see a lot of pictures of me around the house. Like I had a tough childhood because I was wired differently, but I had to kind of act out this role. The other thing is I kind of thought I might speed up or up pitch my voice a little bit so that it sort of matched like a 14-year-old kid. But Felix read for Paul's voice, who's now Sully. And in editing it, I was shocked to find that at 14, Felix has a deeper voice than I do. I don't think I was putting on an affectation of a kid's voice. I was going to read it in my own voice and then pitch it up so that it sounded more like a kid. But then when I heard Felix's voice, I'm like, wow, like we're going to sound silly if we pitch it up. So I don't know if somebody would believe that my voice is a kid's voice, but
I think you get sucked in very quickly. I don't think it's like
I like the Wonder Years had an adult narrator talking about his past.
Yeah.
And something that I've always fought for in my books is I experience time out of sequence.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the things they teach in junior high and high school writing is it's absolutely wrong to change the tense in a sentence. Right. But at the beginning of the sentence, I'm about to do something, and by the middle of the sentence, it's been done, and by the end of the sentence, I'm looking back on it, wondering if that should have happened. So I have a future, past, and present in every single sentence in my head. I don't reflect that in every line of a story, but like in a story that I'm telling, when it goes from I'm doing this to I did this, that's not a mistake. That's me expressing an incongruity
Yeah.
with time.
Yeah.
My experience of time is not like other people's experience of time. And so there's nothing wrong with me being in the present in one scene, being in the past, being in the present at the beginning of a sentence, and then I'm talking in the past by the end of the sentence, because a lot of time passes for me between before something's going to happen and after it's happened. And especially like in this book where things like a ball is flying through a room.
Mhm.
By the time I'm telling you about the ball,
Yeah.
I'm going to be finishing the thought, hit by the ball, and talking about it in future, present, past tense, right? Because
Yeah.
time slows down to nothing when I'm facing down dodgeballs.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to just glance at this because I think. Can you talk to the people?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that was it was really, really cool to go through that experience with Rich and his audio book situation. I might continue. So the very first part that we were looking at in the curriculum.
Oh, here. Can you do me a favor?
Mhm.
And then can you
You better just
hold on?
slow down. Don't worry about it.
Oh, it's okay.
So the first part we were talking about was like how we record ideas, and then
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
And resend your questions for the book to Carla.
Okay.
Oh no, tell her not to worry about that.
I'll send it.
Here, I shouldn't have teased you. Hold on.
I'm sending it.
What's ASD?
Autism spectrum disorder.
Are you sending it to her?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's gonna take me a sec to get into my email. Sorry, I shouldn't be not talking to. I am sending something super fun to someone super fun.
So this is super important. And so I'd be super mad if I was like watching you text somebody on the live broadcast.
That's okay.
There's like 1,000 million people watching us right now. There's not. As far as we know, there's one, which is Kelly. But then we find out later on there's like 20,000. Also, can you tell me the next thing?
Yeah.
So form is like the shape of a thing, right?
Yeah.
And then
In 3D.
they really focus. Yeah, that's the important part is when you make something look 3D. That's what a lot of the times we're talking about form. Not all the time, but a lot of the times. And then the texture of a thing is also really important. I remember when I first got that curriculum. I wasn't struggling with the academic language because I'm good at academic language.
Yeah.
What I was struggling with was, okay, we're having a cocoa indigo drawing.
Ooh, the brown and blue.
Yeah, you know why?
Because you just dipped your.
Because I'm in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I haven't dipped it yet, but I'm
Oh.
going to.
Because I'm in the moment.
I didn't want to get up.
Feeling it. I'm feeling it.
Did you send Carla the thing?
I did.
Okay. So I don't have a problem with academic language, but I think that the academic language in that curriculum, now that I'm looking at it today, was intentionally
Heady.
yeah, because they probably were struggling with exactly what they wanted to say. Right.
Yeah.
And they were probably borrowing it from other books and making sense out of things that they only kind of understood. I say that like I've been teaching for 23 years. I've been making art for 40 years. And I also struggle with those things because when you're trying to make sense out of them, they become overwhelming. But like the form and the shape of a thing is like the shape of a thing is like got to do with its mass and its edges and its weight. And then they were grouping it with texture, which is also the surface.
I'm kind of seeing the flow of what they're doing now. So it does actually move from the surface. And they're talking about positive and negative space and the
Right.
depth. And then the next one is investigate. And students will employ and arrange elements and principles to make compositions. So the consideration of balance and contrast may be applied to drawings that depict forms in
Right.
nature.
But can you see what they did there? Is because composition happens on the paper
Yeah.
and form happens before the paper. So they're splitting like the difference between the writer and the reader. And they're talking to both as though they're doing the same thing, right? In writing, the form is you typing stuff out. And then, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's interesting.
and like I said, I'm only thinking about this. We do this, by the way, every year, Jess and I deconstruct.
I just found my notes from last year that we talked about this.
Yeah, we probably bought into it 100%. However,
No, it was good. Like,
I'm for this curriculum. I quite like it.
mhm.
I want to be clear on that. But also, here's the funny thing: is when I was a kid, my mom was a teacher, and she would talk about the curriculum like it was handed down as the voice of God. You know, like you don't mess with the curriculum. You don't mess with the curriculum. Some kind of like creature from outer space brought us this curriculum, and that's how knowledge began, right? And so, if somebody said something that stepped near the edges of the curriculum, I would be like devastated by their brashness. Now, by the way, I am not suggesting anybody step outside of the curriculum. The only thing I'm thinking about is somewhere in the last couple of years, our government brought in like strangers to rewrite the curriculum. And I was like, where'd they bring them from? Like NASA, space? Like what, how do they find somebody that can rewrite the curriculum? And, what they ended up doing was copying and pasting Texas curriculum, which wasn't even written well. And so like, it's funny that like, the way I had previously thought of and spoke of and conceived of curriculum as this like gift from space.
I tell her I think I fixed it. There, she's in. I can see her. That's her cursor.
It's fun. So it's interesting that like my faith in the curriculum is a little shook that they can just like download one from Texas and expect it to reapply here. And I'm not saying it doesn't because I haven't read a new curriculum yet, but it is interesting how different my view is on my faith in these words. Okay, what's the next thing after form and what?
It got into investigating like the it really
Conceptually.
well no it threw out really nonchalantly using the using the principles and elements of design.
Yep. Which is on the paper. Like we've very quickly shifted from like the object you're perceiving to the artwork you're creating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What happened?
Sorry, I got it back. To make compositions, a consideration of balance and contrast may be applied to drawings that depict forms in nature. Balance and contrast.
Yeah. So they're being careful about not making people have to do everything at once.
Mm-hmm.
But balance and contrast actually fits back with positive, negative space and form.
Yeah.
Right. So that is a bit of another sign that maybe like there's like a lack of real. It's listing off things that you should be cognizant of. Right?
Yes, that's
a way better way to put that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not put well technically in terms of like me trying to defend it. And I think we have taken these words for the last, how long have I known you? 10 years,
Yeah.
14 years.
Yeah.
We're taking these words for the last 14 years and explain them to people that haven't spent as much time reading them.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first time I've critically read them and thought, what shit, those are the wrong words. No wonder.
Mm-hmm.
No one, I didn't have a hard time understanding them in terms of practice.
Yeah.
But now I'm looking at them formally in terms of composition.
Right.
And it's not written well. The intention is strong.
Right.
But it is not written well. It's misleading, unintentionally misleading, I think, because they're maybe they weren't that familiar with what they were writing. Right?
Yeah, it's like I think what you said earlier was really important. Like they knew what they wanted to get at, but they didn't know how to put it into words.
That goes back to the TEDx talk, right? Like I felt so butthurt that I wanted to speak. I wanted to be part of the TED speakers, but I wasn't empowered with the ability to speak. And it wasn't likely that anyone in my field would be empowered to speak because as visual communicators, right?
Yeah.
You get into art because you can't talk, right?
Right.
And then surely some of us can talk, but we're like, I would like to think somebody that can't draw would have invested some time into talking to make up for the fact that they can't draw. But we have to learn to think one way. And then we're trying to express ourselves for people in another way. I think it's a little unfair, right?
It's hard, yeah. Like, the next one. Oh, it's like 2A, B, and C. So it's like the next one's about repetition of shape in nature can suggest pattern and motif. Repetition of shape in nature can suggest pattern and motif.
Right.
Like that's just a statement.
I know, right?
And then
I'm shook.
The last one in this section is a changing point of view can allow a more thorough analysis of the subject matter of drawing. So it's funny that subject came into it after we were talking about subject and object.
Yeah.
A changing.
Let's go back and talk about what these things mean. Okay. Go back a bit.
Okay. So the consideration of balance and contrast may be applied to drawings that depict forms in nature.
All right. So that basic, say it again slowly.
A consideration, just the consideration
Yeah.
of balance and contrast may be applied to drawings that depict forms in nature.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah. Let's go back one step to composition.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this whole section's about elements and
Yeah. Can you move
principles
this over there without
to
jumping
make
in?
compositions. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a border.
Mhm.
And then inside this border, for the sake of this argument,
Mhm.
this square represents the paper, the artwork.
Yeah.
Everything else is independent of the
Yeah.
universe. So what I'm doing is I'm painting for fun around my painting. But my painting is the white space
On your piece of paper.
inside this smudgy gray coffee indigo.
Yeah.
You got me?
Yeah.
There we go. So that's my painting. Okay. And essentially this gray stuff that I'm putting down now is my wall, right? This is the edge of the universe. It's a lie, right? Because this is actually the edge of my painting, but let's just pretend this is, okay?
Mhm.
Couple steps back, you were talking about the elements of
Yeah.
design and composition.
Yeah.
Okay. If I had another painting over here, and maybe this painting is a nice painting of a clown. Barfy the clown.
Go Barfy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's Barfy the clown, and over here is a very famous Picasso painting. Blah blah blah. Okay.
Yeah.
If this is my painting, and I do this, if that's my painting, okay, what happens with this is my eye comes into this painting because of a shape that could look like an arrow, and it leaves this painting, and now you're looking at the clown, right? So this would be an example that I would have given my class of something to never do. Never have an arrow that points away from your painting, because it will send the viewer off of your painting to the price tag next to the painting next to you. What would be really interesting is if you took a painting like this and had an arrow that pointed at the $900 thing on the clown and see if that sells the clown better. Here, can you read those?
Mm.
Now you said something really interesting that goes away from here, because my lesson at a beginning level is when I'm teaching about compositions, the first time I talk to the kids about not having arrows. Now actually you can do this where you have 3 arrows pointing outwards, because that can put something here, right? My composition now isn't competing with the clown. It's not competing over here. I have a balance to these things, and that can pull the focus of this painting right to this dot, right? And that's why this is also like why your cell phone has these working lines, the law of thirds, that show you how to lay things out. But you said something later, and you not criticized it, but you pointed out how it sounded weird. So first we're talking about, when I'm talking about elements of design,
Yeah.
right? If I put an arrow here,
Yeah.
it sends you to the next painting.
Yeah.
But then you said about
Oh, sorry.
perspective or something.
A changing point of view can allow a more thorough analysis of the subject matter of drawing.
Right. Okay. So let's say I was to take my point of view and change it. Okay. Here's a portrait of what your mom called the orange thing. What did you call him?
Orange monkey.
Right. Donald Trump. Okay. Right. Now, if I draw him, same picture, like that, right? My changing point of view, come over, right? It changes how you feel about him, right? So you can intentionally make use of these, what would be mistakes, to tell a story. And so by changing my point of view, right? It's the same character. It's Donald Trump in both paintings, but I've focused on a different part of him here that tells you a different narrative about who he is, right? And that goes back to what I did with the houses,
Yeah.
where it's like
The human element.
looking
Yeah.
up at something, just like in horror movies. When you have the lighting under the chin, it's scary, and the lighting above the head, it's not.
Mhm.
When you draw somebody from this point of view, they are epic.
Yeah.
Right? This point of view, right? Not epic. But that is an oversimplification of how you look at a thing enunciates the meaning you're trying to express, right? How you, the angle you choose even will take the story you're telling and flip-flop it. In a way, for like language, tone of voice does the same thing as
this is great. This is the next outcome, actually.
Yeah, what is it?
Communicate. Students will use expressiveness in their elements in the making of images. So the subjective perception of the individual student affects the way they express action and direction.
Right. So that's getting to know that I speak to a different audience in different ways, right? And I do that 100%.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to address a classroom full of felons differently than I'm going to address a classroom full of accountants.
Yeah.
Right. And what?
Exaggeration of mood characteristics and drawings of nature and people can help emphasize a personal point of view.
What do you think I drew there?
No, it's perfect. Like that's
I'm like,
I mean.
what if Donald Trump was a Cyclops?
Exactly.
I'm gonna end up on Alberta Proud Dad.
But this is exactly, and then the other one was color. So they're touching on the elements of art, but they're also trying to get in that they're acknowledging the human aspect of it. So, and trying to get
it's thoughtfully made. I think it's awkwardly crafted.
Because I think honestly, it's trying to say it's like by grade 9 the kids should be working in their, like they're trying to go more independently, and it's acknowledging the human element. So it's like still utilizing the elements and principles of design, but it's saying like depending on the kid, they're going to express themselves in different ways and show these things.
Right.
So I think it's like you start out, they're younger, they're doing more prescribed things to get fine motor skills and their muscles growing. But then by grade 9, they need to be using those tools and those muscles.
Because the younger versions of the same curriculum, you have situations where you're teaching the kids what shapes are, which is like, you're not going to do that, right? Like by the time they've got to school, they know what shapes are.
The grade 1s actually really liked showing me their shapes. But yes, they do.
Okay, first of all, are we talking about grade 1s right now?
No, 9s. No.
Can you go into your grade 9s and say, show me a square?
Shape.
Can you?
In some cases I can, but they it's like, because art is a place where you meet everyone where they're at too. So like sometimes graph paper is employed.
Well, and in fairness, okay, I'll take that back, because I go in and I ask the kids who can make a perfect circle, right?
Yeah.
And can you?
I'm getting close.
Yeah.
I'm getting pretty good.
Okay. Can I show you how I show them how to do it?
Yes, please.
So like a kid will try and do a perfect circle, and they will do like they'll do like a this.
Yeah. Yeah, it starts out really great, but then it's like, because your hand.
Right?
Yeah.
And that I can do better than that, but I'm trying to illustrate how they do it. Okay. If you want to do a perfect circle, you put the pencil in your hand and you allow yourself to do some laps.
Yeah.
Right? And once you have those laps, you pick
that
pen is gonna die. I'm gonna carry a pen. You pick up the best version of the circle out of those laps. This isn't a perfect circle because I hit like a notch in the paper there. I'm not making excuses.
Also I noticed when you're doing that, your hand's up, but as soon as you planted your hand, it doesn't go as nicely.
Yeah. So, the circle you do by allowing a circle to evolve, and then when you need to choose out your circle, well, I'll tell you something else. I'm also watching the screen.
Yeah.
Right? That's your circle. And then you could actually get rid of this by
Shading it
scribbling around it. Yeah.
But yeah. So, and then colors even brought in. Mood,
What does it tell you about
mood
color?
and feeling. Mood and feeling as perceived by the individual student can be expressed in color drawings. So it's interesting that they said color drawings even.
Right.
Oh, because it's under the drawing heading. So they're trying to
Right.
be, they could have just said color.
All right. I taught a kid who experienced synesthesia,
Mm-hmm.
and very, very smart kid who you kind of wonder sometimes when people tell you stuff like this if they just like how that sounds.
Mm-hmm.
But through exploring the conversations, and careful not to doubt, because I'm just going to take people at face value,
Yeah.
came to conclude on my own that there's no doubt in my mind she actually experienced synesthesia. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm cautious when people say things like that because it's very difficult to know if your brain is wired than different people, because your experience inside your brain is your experience inside your brain. And to say that you're different, experiencing something different, would imply you know what the other people are experiencing, right? So I'm not doubting anybody when they say, oh, I'm dyslexic or whatever, because I don't know, right? But what I struggle with is how do you know what not being dyslexic looks like? You know, and sometimes you're getting your formal evaluation for somebody that doesn't have dyslexia. So not knowing what it looks like outside of other people's brains, it's very difficult for me to talk about what it's like inside my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's enough literature about what it's like inside my brain to help me out. So people are like, oh, you should go get like this analysis or that analysis. I'm like, from who? Like,
Yeah.
The other guy that's got a brain like mine wouldn't be in a position to write down the information I need, right? Probably be in jail. So, what were we talking about? Yeah. Color is like what I was saying before about the subject and the object, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can teach a class on how color affects mood in art.
Yeah.
I think you would be very wrong to grade a student for their ability to use color to tell a mood because it's such an interpretation.
Yeah.
We likely don't even see the same colors. So don't tell me you're going to grade a kid on knowing what yellow means, right?
Yeah, I think with that, it's more like, did they experiment with color?
Yeah, but
like, yes or no?
Can you account for the fact there's never been an art teacher that misread that and taught that red means stop and green
that's
means...
a scary, like, that's a super scary thought of like the responsibility they would have in terms of...
How many art teachers have you ever talked to about the curriculum, by the way?
You?
Like, would you not agree that like the art teachers, like the people that were at that show adjudicating, kind of sometimes either get stuck on formal elements, which is just you go pay for art lessons and then teach how to draw.
Yeah.
Or another option is they're like me and they think they know it all. So they didn't read the curriculum, which is what I would have done with my arrogance if it wasn't for my mom, right? My mom had such high regard for the curriculum that when I became a teacher, regardless of what I was sure I knew about art making, I came at the curriculum with an artist brain thinking, I'm going to use my artist brain to understand the laws that I'm to function with here. Because to me, what I was taught through my mom was the the curriculum was sacred and not to be touched, right? I was willing to interpret the curriculum with my artist brain to create the best situation for the students I taught. I don't think I came up with anything in the curriculum that I couldn't reconcile to art making, right? Did I? I had a conversation about this today with my fellow teachers because we had the awards night. And for the 20 years I've been teaching, every year, right before the awards night, we have a conversation about how the awards should go out. And every year they'd say, well, this is a beginning of the year conversation. And I would say every year, but we never have this conversation at the beginning of the year. And either Travis had the same thought independently or Travis heard me when he said, let's have that conversation about the awards today.
Now,
so we did. And it was cute because you're listening to like teachers whose subject matters depend on objectivity, sort of discussing what's the most fair way to decide the highest mark in a grade. Because did let's say, do the exams, you know, if you have a kid in one semester that doesn't have the provincial exam versus another kid who did have and their grades are factored in, like the classroom grade is not going to be the same as the overall grade, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a really interesting conversation to be in. But as an art teacher, I have a conversation, and like I'm taking them literally, right? Like they're like, no, it's got nothing to do with the best artist. That's a different award. This is the award for the highest grade. I'm like, who the hell cares? But somebody cares. And so every year I'm having a conversation with my best artist saying, hey, just as you know, you got this award, right? But you didn't get this award because you don't have the highest grade. And in art, having the highest grade means you're best at taking instruction. And that's not what being an artist is. I have never in 23 years of teaching ended up with my best artist having the best grade, because my best artist is going to tell me to go fire truck myself.
Yeah.
If I ask them to do something that's outside of where their brain is at, right? Mm-hmm. And the better they are at art, the harder it will be to get them out of their bubble. Mm-hmm. They often will step out of their bubble and try different things, but that's a negotiation because they've invested their 10,000 hours into art making, and all they have is my word that they need to try something that they don't feel like doing.
Because
right?
that's the high school is that different developmental level too. Is like that actually should be where they are, is right. Like doing their own thing. And then it's like only by the grace that you propose and that you give them that they would listen to try new things. Like, because we're trying to push them off into their.
Well, and it's close, right? Mm-hmm. Like my best artist is going to have a close grade to the artist that was the best,
of course,
most agreeable, right? Mm-hmm. Your highest grade in art is going to go to the most agreeable student, not because you like them better, not because you're rewarding them for being agreeable, but if you're asking them to have 3 goats in a painting and they put 3 goats in a painting.
Are you saying me or are you saying humans in general?
You have just like
with humans.
I'm saying me, really, right? That like, if it were my opinion,
mm-hmm. Yes,
the grades would be different.
Right.
Because it's not my opinion, I'm following a formula to provide them their grades to let them know where they sit in the universe, not where they sit. Where they sit in academics, not where they sit in the universe.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So like if I gave the top grade to a kid who I thought was the best artist, mm-hmm. and they went into university and flunked out of school because they used to get 100% for doing whatever they want, mm-hmm. they're going to get into art school and it's going to be a massacre. So they do need to be aware of the system being like a reward system for following instructions, but at the same time, your best artist won't follow the instructions, right? They're going to say, I didn't feel like doing that project, and there's like, oh, got this other kid that can't draw as well as you, but did do the project. So technically maybe they're a better student, but not the greatest artist, right? Mm-hmm. And so the highest grade in the class, this is a better way to put it, and I think I might have even said it wrong. The highest grade in the class is going to go to the best art student, right? I go to art school, I'm not getting the highest grade in the class because like the teacher's going to be like, here, can you try this? I'm like, shut up. I'm doing this. You know who I am? I'm Roux. So like it would be, no, but can imagine.
Massacre,
right? So That was a lot of talking.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next one's about articulating and evaluating. So, like,
if you
what
can
we're
have a
doing.
thought and not make thoughts your aim, and not let your thoughts be your master too. That's what we should do: is take Kipling's "if" and cross-reference it to the.
We've never done that before. We've cross-referenced a lot of other things, but no.
But that articulating a thought is that if I can get an idea
and
across
not let
the
it be
table,
your master.
right?
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Want to read me "if" and we'll see how it fits with the
Yes.
curriculum. Okay.
I do.
Good. Glad you do.
Always.
Turns out I like coffee and indigo.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I ordered a lens from Japan, which is scary because, like, there's not a lot of recourse if they don't send you what you paid for. Turns out I got a lens that was considerably better than that they promised. And I don't think I'm going to send it back, but I am kind of shocked at like how nice this lens is. And you got to put your trust in them that it's going to be in the same quality shape as you expected. But also, I don't know if it was a mistake or a lack of, maybe they promised this lens and it sold and they threw me a nicer lens in. But even just like the what would you say? The explanation of the lens didn't exactly line up with what I got. It was just a nicer lens than I'd ordered.
Everything's turning up Taylor.
Let's hear it.
If by Rudyard Kipling.
If.
Brother Square Toes. Rewards and fairies. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you.
Okay. So in high school art, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would fit under some level of resilience. And I would sort of place that under situations like when a kid finds a setback in the art room, if they move forward instead of backwards.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So an example of that would be, and this isn't something you grade them on, but it's certainly a quality. Kid comes in, the painting they were working on has artwork, has paint spilled on it by, grade 12 walks in and a grade 10 has spilled paint on their artwork,
mm-hmm.
right? If you can say the line again.
If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it
right,
on
because
you.
Taylor's freaking out, throwing everybody out like, it's not true. But actually, I'm pretty calm when kids accidentally spill things. And they get one warning for on purpose spilling things. But if you can keep your head when all about you are
losing theirs and blaming it on you.
Right. It's not just the problem of being the only person in the room who knows what's going on. It's the problem of being the only person in the room who knows what's going on and everybody's still trying to treat you like the scapegoat, right? Carry on.
If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you.
That's
a huge
every
one for
art student.
Yeah.
That's like picking up the pencil in any room because you know who really does well with that is my hockey students, right? Because they have there's these, what do you call it, like preconceptions of who they're going to be when they walk into the school. And some of them walk into art class with preconceptions about how sports and art affect your persona, right? And I had a kid 2 years ago who was really good at art. And when nobody was looking, when his friends were busy, he would make the most beautiful things. And then as soon as his friends came around, he would destroy them. One after the other, kids like in the class wrecking things. I get fed up. I put him in the hallway, not as a punishment, but just to give him some space. Out in the hallway, he makes one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Friends asked to go to the bathroom. They go out in the hallway, and he's like smacking it against the wall. And then he changed schools. And right before he changed schools, I said, hey, man, like, before you go, like, you have something here. He's like, yeah, I know. I'm like, but why the destructiveness? Why does everything you make get ruined? And he's like, it's just not a good look, man. And it struck me that there was something in his conditioning, something in his childhood, something in the people he associated with that believed that making beautiful artwork was an affront to his masculinity, right? And so read me that Kipling line again.
If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you.
Yeah, like just the act of risking looking funny by being an artist is for some kids a huge step, right?
But make allowance for their doubting too.
Yeah, right. That's something I'm good at, right?
Yeah.
They don't get me, but I understand why they don't get me, right? What's the next one?
If you can wait and not be tired by waiting.
That's like in art all the time, right? Like this has to dry, and if you touch it too soon, you're gonna wreck it, right? Yeah.
Or being lied about. Don't deal in lies.
Just don't even buy into it. Yeah.
Or being hated. Don't give way to hating.
Jessica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet don't look too good or talk too wise.
I could work on that.
If you can dream and not make dreams your master.
Yeah.
If you can think and not make thoughts your aim.
That's what brought us to this poem.
If you can meet with triumph and disaster.
Again, yeah.
And treat those two imposters just the same.
Yeah.
If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools.
Right. You put a painting up, and the people that walk by interpret it, and they take your words and they twist them to hurt other people, right? Like you make a painting, and then Johnny, who's cross-eyed, starts crying because some kid in your class somehow took the beautiful thing you created and twisted it into an insult for another kid in the school, right? Carry on.
Or watch the things you gave your life to broken.
That's a tough one because we shut the gallery down, yeah?
Well, it's not even like that. It's because of the world.
Yeah.
And stoop and build them up with worn out tools.
That reminds me of what's not going to happen with the bike lanes. Because they're going to rip the bike lanes out, and when they try and put them back in, they're like, we already tried this and it didn't work. Yeah.
If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss.
Everything you do is like that gambling with what could happen in the painting. I start something and I'm scared because it might not be perfect. It turns out perfect, and I'm more scared because every mark I put on it, I risk losing what I did.
And lose and start again at your beginnings.
Now the bell rings and you gotta do it again tomorrow.
And never breathe a word about your loss.
Yeah.
If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone.
Yeah.
And so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch. If neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much.
That's a tough one, right?
Yeah.
If all can count with you but none too much means you know what? Like that comes up when kids are like, I don't rat on my friends. Like maybe sometimes you need to, right? Like when your friend is wrong, you need to fix it, right? So if you have a law that says when your friend is wrong, you're going to back them up, that makes you just as bad as them, right? And just the idea that a law that simple, right?
Yeah.
I know my friend is wrong, but I'm not going to rat out my friends is a particularly dangerous thing. And then kids come to count on it. But guess what? When it starts to matter, everybody rats on their friends. Everybody, like from top of the prisons and gangs down to the mafia to like kids who stole pencils. Everybody says they won't rat on their friends until it matters, and as soon as it matters, they're all singing like birds. And it's always the people that push that philosophy the hardest that are first to sing.
Yes, the ones that speak the loudest.
What happened? Yeah, one of my teachers today, I mentioned something, and a friend of the teacher I was talking to said, "Oh, that makes me think you spoke to so and so," because they were worried that so and so had complained about a thing. I was anticipating a problem, and they're like, "No, I think you hurt," you know. And I had to explain, like, "No, I haven't had a conversation with anybody about this. I'm trying to fix a problem before it happens. But please know, I'm good with the secret. But if you called me out on it, I wouldn't lie to you, right? If it was true that I let it slide, that I had a conversation with somebody, then I would apologize for having that conversation.
Yeah.
But you need to know that I haven't told you I had a conversation, so it's not part of the story, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, next.
If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run.
That's something everyone should try in person. So my wrestling team, I would have them run laps of the gym, full sprint for 1 minute. You know how long most people can full sprint for?
Like 10 seconds.
10 to 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Full sprint 1 minute, that takes a hero. And like, you can do it, but the last half of that minute, you're like, crawling. Yeah.
Yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Which is tough because I've heard from friends of mine that they wish that poem was gender neutral. They didn't want it to be a poem for men.
Hero.
But it's a poem from Rudyard Kipling to his birth son.
Yeah.
So I'm going to protect his right to say son if he was talking to his son who happened to identify as a early 19th century male. Do you have a wipes? Isn't that nice? Well, we started at 7. It's 9 o'clock. We haven't even got through the first page of the curriculum, but that was quite a night.
Yeah, that was.
Are we done, or you want to go a little longer?
I think it'd be really nice to do the next section next week.
Sure.
Do you like that idea?
Yeah, I just want to do one thing before we go.
Oh, I'm not in a rush. I
can't reach because I have to go around here. Can you get me the light blue paint?
Oops. Yeah.
Are you crying?
Yeah.
Such a sucky baby.
The square toes always makes me cry.
I know, me too.
The blue paint?
Yeah, it's light blue.
Oh, on the locker.
Tall tube.
Yeah.
I bought it for...
I thought you meant it was over there.
I was pointing at why I can't get to it. I'm like buried in this corner here. You can't see any of it, but I'm trapped. If there was a fire, Jess would live and I would die.
I would get you out.
I like the opacity of this paint.
Oh, that's one of the.
I know.
Of
Let's talk.
in the grade
I'll start
9.
painting. You start talking about it, okay?
And
it is interesting that when you go to the paint store, you go to like Home Depot and ask for paint.
Oh, have a good night, Jack.
Jack Pike, former teacher. What'd you do today, Jack? Huh? It's interesting that if you go to the paint store and you ask for paint, the very first thing they ask you is for the luster. And it's one of the things that's kind of left out of the art curriculum is you talk about tone, talk about shading, talk about darkness and lightness.
Yeah.
You don't really talk about the luster of the paints. And I wonder if that's because the art class often has like limitations on what paint you get to use,
That's interesting.
Like you're not going to pick between what are the different ones? There's
opacity and translucency.
No, I'm thinking about paints like satin and the
like eggshell, matte.
The different finishes of the paint.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's such a common thing when you're painting your house that you do not prepare for at all in art class. What is Jack Pike with?
He said, I worked on windows, harvested honey, honey, watched you guys.
Jack Pike, have you been working on windows since we opened the Rumble House? Because I remember you asking me for help for windows, and I was too busy to help you. And one thing I've noticed is you've been late a few times. There hasn't ever been a time that I even indicated I needed help that you weren't there. And don't think I don't know that you're a better friend than me. But if you're still working on the same windows that I didn't help you with before COVID, that's on you. You should have told me you're still working on those windows. I might have talked you out of asking me to help for windows because when I worked for the sign group, one of the jobs I liked the least was the experience of carrying glass. Because
these are the last 4. I've done everyone except the garage, and that doesn't.
Is that the same window project? If we buy a house, we're not replacing windows for a decade.
No windows.
Windows, doors, windows and doors. What was the rest of that jingle?
I don't know. I was just dancing.
Okay. Well, I painted on a lot of pieces of paper today, but I had fun too.
I think it'd be really fun to keep going with the next section of the curriculum next week.
Next
and we
week.
can keep, I'll keep these all together and we can keep adding into them.
And then what else is happening next week? I know on the 12th something special.
So
Yeah.
everything that looks like it is.
I have the cat show on the 12th, I think. Cat festival.
Oh.
Right across from where Rumble House was.
In
At the old science center.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Yep.
We're hosting the silent reader release at the Signal Hill chapters. So 12
cool.
to 4. Yeah, so that's fun. Lots of stuff going on. So it's not this weekend, not next weekend, but the weekend after.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Theo for a while on the broadcast.
Yeah, he must be. I saw him post a post about the books that he was picking up. He said he just finished reading Just Kids by Patti Smith, and I was like, I'm reading her a memoir, and he was like, that was the first one I read by her, and then I got Just Kids after. I was like, oh, he's going backwards through.
Kelly?
Yeah.
Theo texts me every single morning. Did you know that?
Oh, okay. Oh,
Do you want to see what he texts?
sure.
Every single morning, Theo sends me a painting. And he says, good morning. Whether I'm awake or not. Every single morning, he wakes up and he sends me a painting. And then one of the things that we like to do is when I get some time, I'll take a whole bunch of Theo's paintings and I'll put them into a movie. But
That'd be cool.
yeah, every time we have a broadcast and you go, I haven't seen Theo in a while, I think to myself, is she nuts? Because Theo's everywhere, but it's because he's sending these paintings. I feel like we see Theo all the time, but you're not seeing Theo on days that he's not here.
Mm-hmm.
But here is some of Theo's paintings. And every morning, I got one at 6:49. I got one at 6:30. I got one at 8:07. He slept in that day. But isn't this amazing? This is like an everyday experience. I wake up and I get to see a new painting from Theo. And I don't think he's ever missed. So I would think if Theo's not here for the broadcast, I can see how that would be like, whoa, I hope Theo's okay. But like, if I ever wake up and don't get a painting from Theo in the morning,
then we'll be calling.
I'm calling 911. Yeah. Sometimes he writes some words. Most of the time he just sends more pictures.
Good night, Jack Pike.
Good night, Pike.
I have to get a new mouse. I'm leaning onto the laptop. My mouse died.
Oh no.
When did that happen?
Just now.
Like this second?
About 4 minutes ago.
You use a PC, right?
I'm on a laptop. My computer's upstairs. I'll just get one of the wired ones. Oh, I have a wired one here. What am I looking at? Oh,
Well, we're almost done tonight, Kelly, so don't even sweat it.
Yeah.
Forget about it. Forget about
It
it.
was
I went to see my mom today.
nice.
She's on stage 6 of the dementia.
What was she on last week?
She's been on stage 6 for the last month and a half.
Oh, so but
Oh, I have mouse
a
back
month
now.
ago she was on stage 5?
Now she's stage 6.
What do they
Stage 7 is when they lose the ability to communicate.
my mom's got stage 7 Parkinson's then because she can't talk.
Oh, not at all, right?
No, like I think maybe depending on what time I get there, she might say 1 or 2 words. Now I think when I see people talking to her, I've seen some people talking to her kind of like you'd talk to a baby. And I know my mom would not like that.
I know.
My mom did not speak
Well,
baby to me.
my mom is technically like an infant right now. She sleeps like an infant. Caregiver, I've kind of viewed her at night. She'll says, help me, repeats over and over again. She was sleepwalking with her eyes open, which was really creepy. She was like taking out the hangers from the closet, putting them on the bed, and then I guess she fell, and all you hear is this big snoring. She was snoring, and so she was actually sleepwalking.
Or do you live with your mom?
No, I have cameras in the house, so I can see it.
You're at your
Sometimes
house
I'll check
you're wandering around? That's
What?
scarier than not watching. Because if you saw something bad,
it's recording it. It records it in case she has a fall.
right?
So I just want to make sure she's okay. And
when you
like
see
it's
her
recording.
get up and tell her to sit down, you're like watching in terror.
Oh, you can. You can actually talk through the phone to the camera. You can actually hit talk.
Yeah.
And you can actually talk to her.
And will she sit down if you ask her to?
If she's sleeping, maybe not. Like she was sleepwalking, but she will. Like I said, she has the comprehension of a child. We tried to do a puzzle yesterday with shapes and colors. She lasted 10 minutes and then she said it was too hard and she wanted to lay down. Her vocabulary is not very much, and then half the time it's swear words. I've never heard her swear so much in my entire life.
When I start to lose it, I'm going to remove myself from the people I care about before they find out what I'm really like. When I'm old and I start to find like I'm losing my my self-control, I don't want people to know what I'm really thinking, so I'm going to find a way to not be around them. Because I think that's a pretty scary thought that, like, you know, we edit all kinds of thoughts, right? There's things we don't say to people out of kindness. Now, those voices in our head we have no control over. So if I think an incredibly horrible thing about a person and then I catch myself and stop myself from thinking it, I don't beat myself up over that, because that's like in my head versus like you know, the things I say and do. But when I can't control my mouth saying the nasty things that go through my head, I'm gone. I'm going to go camping in Kananaskis with a jar of peanut butter, and I'm going to strip down and hike dressed in a pair of peanut butter pants, and I'm going to find a way to see what's next on the horizon.
It's hard to see because I look at her and you can see she's trying to think, but sometimes she doesn't look like she's home. Like it's just like she's staring off into space.
Yeah, I think my mom has the opposite experience where my mom, I wholeheartedly know she's thinking, but the mouth is sort of disconnected in a way that, like, I remember jogging once and my legs gave out in the cold. And it was like, come on, legs, get moving. And the legs didn't move, but my brain was working. I knew what I wanted my legs to do, but the legs just weren't responding. And that's what it's like for my mom. Is she's kind of trapped inside her head.
Yeah.
Probably, she had pretty sharp wit, so she's probably thinking some pretty vicious stuff, but it's not coming out. Yeah, there was like, I saw her a few days after my birthday, and I said, "Oh, I forgot my birthday again." And the look in her face was just like, "I shouldn't tease you. I'm sorry."
So it's a different experience.
She actually I technically asked my mom, I go, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I said, "Are you sure?" And she goes, "Yeah, I'm fine." She says the same thing. And then she'll actually say, "How are you?" And I'm like, "I'm fine." But she didn't like it when I had my hands on my hips the one day. She says, "Take your hands off your hips." I'm like, "No, I'm comfortable." So she sometimes doesn't know what she's trying to control, being a little bit of a controlling person.
Right.
So she's trying, but
Right.
I just don't let her do that. Like, if she swears, I said, "Mom, that's not nice."
What would
That's not-
a younger
that's how
version
adults work.
of herself feel about her right now, do you think?
How do I feel about her?
What would a younger version of herself feel about how she's acting right now?
She wouldn't like it. That's for sure.
All right. Maybe between you and
At
me,
all.
it might be best if we don't talk about it on the broadcast because
Yeah.
because I wouldn't want your mom looking down at us from heaven thinking, "Guys, that's not fair. I couldn't
Yeah.
defend these thoughts at the time."
Yeah, she can't control what she says. It's 95%
Yeah,
the dementia. She has dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yeah, I'm just
And
saying
it's
between
5%
you
her.
and me, let's both of us be really careful about what we say about our moms. Deal?
Yeah.
I'm not lecturing. I'm just trying to be myself a better son to my mom. I don't think my mom, I think I'm speaking for what my mom would say right now, is I think my mom really, I think she'd be very frustrated with people baby talking her. When Jess is feeling anxious, sometimes she uses a form of baby talk, right? Is that fair?
Oh, just like in general, not to your mom, but just in
To
general.
me? And I'm like, we don't, I never baby talk to my kids, and my mom certainly never baby talked me. And
Yeah, it's usually when I'm feeling anxious.
when I see like the
I
people,
don't baby talk her. I just say, "Mom, that's not appropriate." Or I'll just say, "Mom, why are you doing that? Like, you shouldn't talk like that to people."
yeah, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying, let's you and me be really careful about what we put on the broadcast because we don't want to make our moms look bad.
No. But they're older. They're aging. So that's what happens.
Yeah, but we don't have.
But
We
there's
don't.
still-
Have
There's still like personal.
With dementia, you're going backwards. So you go back to your childhood. That's how it works.
yeah, but we don't have to talk about it on the broadcast.
Just
Yeah.
for like personal
Yeah,
like boundaries and stuff. Like
No, I just thought I
I'm
was
trying not to correct you, but I just for my own sake, I really want to be careful about how you and I present your mom because I don't know your mom, and in this space we're talking about maybe something that might be kind of personal to her.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I love you. And
It's
I think you're
also
wonderful.
we know it's personal to you too. That's why you're
Don't take it
talking
as a
about
lecture, but yeah,
Oh no.
we can hang it after the broadcast if you want to talk about stuff too.
Oh yeah.
Not tonight because I'm getting.
I'm not so dead tired.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for coming on and making art with us, Kelly. And we're going to call it a night.
Okay, see you guys later.
Good
Bye, Cal.
night. Bye.
Bye.